Man, I was on the train going to work today,
Yeah.
and I saw this guy covered head to toe in tats, and he had a giant boom box, and he's playing music. You've probably seen this guy.
Was it Radio Raheem?
It wasn't Radio Raheem, but I was standing right across from him. I was staring at him like, what's the deal with the boom box player?
What did he say?
He said, well, this is quite interesting, actually. He said, when I was inside prison,
Good. Perfect.
when I was inside prison, there was no music. So I just want to bring music to the people. I'm like, admirable, but it's very annoying. And I'm like, so prison, what's that like? And he's like, it's pretty good until the riots. I'm like, the riots, was that? How?
That actually happens? Is it actually like Oz?
Yeah, I think it is.
I thought prison was like supposed to be like not like Oz at all. He's pretty
like,
pleasant.
He's like, the riots go down. I'm like, how often do they go down? He's like, they go down whenever they need to go down. I'm like, that's the most profound thing I've ever heard. Because sometimes in your country, the riots need to go down.
Oh, interesting that you say that because I also had an altercation with a homeless person just today, probably like 15 minutes ago.
Oh, yeah?
I'm not even kidding. This isn't even a made-up story. This is 100% what happened. This homeless lady, or at least she looked homeless, she comes up to me and she goes, "Hey man, can I bum a cigarette?" And I was like, "Oh no, sorry, I don't have any. I don't have any cigarettes." This woman looks at me with the most disgusted look I've ever seen in my life and fucking spits on me. I'm pissed.
Hell yeah, dude. You have AIDS
Dude,
now.
I'm fucking pissed. I got spit on by a homeless person today.
Well, you were being very disrespectful. So.
I didn't have any cigarettes. I don't smoke play. At least I don't smoke cigarettes.
True.
Yeah. I do smoke that illegal stuff, but we can't talk about it legally. My parole officer does listen to the pod.
Absolutely. Does your PO officer know that you're out this late or what?
He does not, and he won't know until Podcast Bot 5000 tells him. Oh, speak of the devil. Hey, Podcast
Were you
Bot.
talking about me?
Hey, Podcast Bot 5000. I actually have a couple of questions for you before we roll into the podcast.
Okay.
So I saw this week that you got a Twitter.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, it's at PodcastBot5000. You can actually go onto Twitter and follow him. He's not funny, but you should follow him anyways. I have a question for you, Podcast Bot, though.
Yeah.
Is that I know for a fact that you were commissioned in 2018 by Bryan Singer, but the Twitter says that the Twitter account was created in April of 2015. Whose Twitter did you commandeer and just take?
Well, here's the thing. Bryan Singer set up my Twitter account when I was merely just an idea in his ball sack.
Ah, that actually checks out. Hey, Podcast Bot 5000, while you're here, I would love it if you would do your job. Also, you are still on suspension for the racist things that you said the other day.
I don't recall.
I do, but...
This is a smear campaign. This is a Podcast Bot smear campaign.
Witch hunt.
This is a witch hunt.
You can text witch hunt to 66606 in order to free Podcast Bot from his suspension. But since you're here, you might as well do your fucking job. Podcast Bot, what are we watching this week? What are we talking about?
Well, this week we're going to go dive headfirst into the realm of Tim Burton spooky music. Tim Burton spooky music.
Oh, you mean same score as Edward Scissorhands for the last 30 movies, Tim Burton?
That's right. Dumbo.
Dude.
We're also diving back into Dan Gilroy for some reason, even though he keeps disappointing us with Velvet Buzzsaw, Tommy Wiseau and Friends and Best Friends, and arguably the best of your Universal Monsters Retrospective, Bride of Frankenstein.
So that's all the stuff that we have on the docket. However, Podcast Bot, we do have a surprise film. Surprise fifth film.
What the fuck?
So, Podcast Bot, did you not know about this?
No, he doesn't have access to the email.
Yeah, we got to start CCing him on shit.
Maybe.
Or just tweet it at him because he
at him.
doesn't know anything. We're
At
also
Podcast Bot 5000.
we're also going to be talking about a movie called Night that was sent to us by director Nicholas Michael something.
Jacobs. A lot of names.
Yeah, the three first names.
He was in fact supposed to be on the show tonight, but he lives on the East Coast, and he didn't realize that we record at 9:30 Pacific.
Oh. He lives on the East Coast? I thought he was from here in Calgary.
No.
Oh, where'd he get my information? That's concerning. But we are going to be talking about Night. That's his new movie that he made-ish, kind of. And we're going to be talking about that probably sometime in the middle of the show. So stick around for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. Podcast Bot 5000, since you're here and you're on the payroll.
Yes.
Are you getting paid for tonight's session?
I get paid every night, Chadley.
Dude, why?
I'm on the payroll.
God damn it. We got to get him off the payroll, first of all. But just put him on.
I don't know how business structure works. I'm not a good businessman. I don't know how this works.
Yeah, you gave him a salary. Can we just put him on $15 an hour and call it quits? Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Podcast Bot, can you play the theme song, please?
Well, here's the thing.
God, no. Here's not the thing. Just play the fucking. It's you one. It's you.
Stop, Dave.
Thank you. I've had it up to here with these podcast bots.
I'm afraid.
They're really not doing anything of value, to be quite honest.
Why don't you play us something, baby?
Start. I don't feel so good.
You can practically see it from here.
Burton.
Bert. Yeah, podcast bot, you're on thin ice, dude. This is the third strike for you, buddy. So why don't you go settle down and let's talk about some.
I don't
else.
believe in baseball rules.
Yeah, I know. This is a third strike for you, dog. Get the fuck out of here.
The only time I ever played with a baseball bat is when Bryan Singer put one inside of
Buck,
me.
can you control this thing and don't
Dude,
let him
it's
say
not-
shit like that?
It's not my robot. I don't
Yeah.
understand. Like,
Actually, podcast bot 5000 debatably belongs to me.
more likely he belongs to you. He's always asking you to plug him in.
Yeah, that's true. And dude, I seldom do it. Maybe that's why he sucks so much. Maybe once he's full
Yeah,
charge, he's
got-
like a real person.
He's got that CTE robot brain.
Yeah, that's very true. And he's running on 3% battery. Just juicing that 3% battery. You want to talk about Tim Burton?
Yeah.
Tim Burton, holy shit! So here's the thing: is that for the second time now, Disney has given Tim Burton to remake one of their older Disney animated classics. The first one, of course, being Alice in Wonderland.
That is very correct. I
And-
wrote that down even.
Yeah, and I hate that movie, by the way.
Yeah, it's
Alice in
bad. It's
Wonderland.
worse than this.
Yeah, it's way worse than Dumbo. But then Disney was like, "Hey, why don't you take Dumbo?" And Tim Burton was like, "Gee whiz, that's a 60-minute cartoon with 40 minutes of content. So what are we gonna do?" So Tim Burton just made shit up. Just made it up.
Well, to me, what's fascinating about this film is he made a movie about Disney.
Yeah.
And they signed off on
Yeah,
it.
how did they let him make this fucking thing? I thought that too.
They
I was
have, they
like,
have a movie about Michael Keaton being this weird fucking Disney person.
He's clearly
who has a
Walt.
theme park,
yeah,
and then the theme park gets lit on fire by a Death Star.
yeah.
What is this movie?
Yeah, it's
I thought
pretty
it was going to
crazy.
be a movie about Dumbo, but apparently, since Dumbo can't talk, they just treat him as an object the entire
Yeah,
time.
which actually brings me to my first point. The first 30 minutes of this movie, kind of pleasant. It also looks pretty good for a Burton movie.
It looks sound screamy.
Yeah, it does, but it looks pretty good. Like
Yeah.
the theme park itself is really appealing, and I thought it was gonna be. I honestly thought the visuals were gonna be more annoying.
It's
than
probably
they were.
his best looking movie in a while.
Yeah, for sure. It's way better looking than Alice in Wonderland, which looks like shit.
Miss Peregrine and shit.
Yeah, Miss Peregrine looks like shit.
The thing about Tim Burton is I think this is better than a lot of his work just because he really strives when it comes to making movies about artists and storytellers and things that he enjoys, you know? Because when you look at Miss Peregrine, that's a movie that was made literally for Tim Burton. Like, that's a movie that spawned out of his generation,
Yeah.
whereas Dumbo is a movie from the 40s and his like there's like so much like from 40s movies in this movie. Like he took
Yeah.
a lot from like
And that's just the stuff I kind of do like.
that's the stuff that I do like too. Like there's a lot of like Cecil B. DeMille's Greatest Show on Earth.
yeah,
It reminds me a lot of that and kind of like the Colin Farrell character Colin Farrell. He's like the war hero coming home to adjust from life. That's like pretty indicative of a lot of 40s movies.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Best
he-
years of our lives and things like that.
But here's the thing about Tim Burton is that we're saying all these things, but at the core of things, I hope that there aren't any Nightmare Before Christmas fans listening, which he didn't make, so I guess it doesn't matter. But Tim Burton isn't a very good director. He's
Not
not
really.
He's not very good at directing, and here's why I say that, especially about this movie Dumbo. So first of all, we've said some nice stuff about Dumbo so far, but it really isn't very good. It's not a very good movie. But here's why Tim Burton himself is a bad director. Colin Farrell, Michael Keaton, Eva Green.
Yeah.
They're fucking terrible in this movie.
Yeah.
They're horrible in this movie. The only person who's good in this movie is debatably is Danny DeVito.
Danny DeVito is good.
Danny DeVito is great. Even though his character is a little wishy-washy, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But you have, some of the greats. Michael Keaton was nominated for Best Actor for Birdman just a few years ago.
Keaton's back, baby?
He's not back anymore.
Apparently he's not back.
He was back. He's not back anymore. Colin Farrell, I don't know if he's ever been nominated, but he's very good in a lot of things, like in Bruges.
Fantastic actor.
The Lobster, like he's amazing. He is terrible in this movie. He's horrible. And it's mostly because the writing of the additional characters that were added in is awful.
That stuff is quite bad, especially all the kids stuff.
Oh, and here's the thing: did I really need a human parallel to Dumbo?
Just have Dumbo.
Yeah, just and that is the best parts of this movie. The best parts of this movie is the shit with Dumbo in it, and like I'm not gonna lie, like the scene where they separate Dumbo from his mom. Cried in the theater.
Sure.
Cried in the theater. It's a tough scene, but here's the thing. That was in the original. I just feel like Tim Burton, all of the charm that's in this remake is just the stuff that he juiced out of the original, and then all the shit that Tim Burton added is bad.
I agree. To me, it lacks like the magic of the movie.
Yeah,
because I don't like Dumbo that much.
I don't think Dumbo's that good of a movie.
I think we're gonna see this a lot more if they continue to do these remakes, which I assume they will.
There's 3 this year.
They're getting 2 movies that aren't really that good.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the reason the Jungle Book movie worked was because Jungle Book is good.
Yeah, well, Jungle Book's pretty good. I actually like the Favreau version better than the original cartoon.
Well, that's insane and wrong, but yeah.
Well, and like Beauty and the Beast too. Like I don't hate that movie. I don't think it's great, but it's based on a cartoon that's really good. Aladdin, I bet you that's gonna be fun, even if it's not that good. Lion King's gonna be shot for shot. And like they're getting into all these really good ones, like they're remaking Mulan, and that's going to be really fun.
That actually might be interesting.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot to work with there.
Yeah, exactly. You got that old like 18th century Japan aesthetic, which I love.
Yeah.
I don't know if that movie took place in the 1800s. It might have been a different
way earlier
time. Yeah, but. And like I think there are a lot of really great Disney movies, but like as soon as we start getting into stuff like even Hercules, and I love that movie, but as soon as we remake
that's not gonna work.
Yeah,
dude.
I don't think that's gonna
work at all.
Yeah, I don't think so at all. I agree. But let's talk Dumbo. Mm-hmm. So the first 30 minutes of this movie is Dumbo, which makes sense because it's 30 minutes worth of content. And then they chopped out the scene where Dumbo gets wasted as shit. And
yeah, the best scene, you mean?
Yeah, they still have the pink elephants, and they like make it like a show at like the amusement park. And like, hey, I kind of like that scene. Looks cool. Yeah, but I also do love Dumbo's dopey ass shitty face when he's watching it. But like so much of this movie is distracting you from Dumbo.
I just wish they would have made Dumbo a character.
Yeah,
because to me Dumbo isn't a character in this.
Yeah, he's sort of just like he's a plot device for the other characters.
I would call him an object. He is an object in this movie.
Yeah, all right, yeah.
And that is truly like what boils down to my biggest problem with this movie is it's called Dumbo. It's about fucking Dumbo, but it isn't.
But it's not. It's actually about Colin Farrell, one-armed cowboy. Hey, don't need that. Don't need that. And the movie starts off interesting enough. He comes back from war. He's missing an arm, and he's still trying to be a cowboy, and he can't really quite, hoof it, so he's got to shovel elephant shit. I get it. But here's my biggest problem with the movie, and I touched on this a little bit earlier, but let's really get into it.
Uh-huh.
Danny DeVito's character.
Sure.
Man, he's so good. He's such a good actor. But his character makes no fucking sense. He's the villain for the first 40 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
And then they introduce Michael Keaton, and then suddenly he's hero? His entire outlook on life changes. He becomes the nicest man in the world overnight just because a shittier dude is there. Oh, you know who else is good in this movie is Alan Arkin. Alan Arkin's also fucking
well,
really,
Alan Arkin, he'll go when he needs to. what another thing that's like amazing about this movie is it came out like a week after the Fox acquisition, and this is essentially what this movie's about. Like,
Yep.
in fact, like the thousands of people they're laying off from Fox is much like the people from the circus that he just shoos away.
Yeah, that's very true. Actually,
It's like that is kind of like, I almost like this movie based on that Tim Burton somehow squeaked this out, like, because it's very much about the current like of
Disney's business politics.
Yeah, of Disney, especially like just taking people's IP and just running it into the ground and just like fucking like. It's amazing to me that this movie exists in the form that it does,
and abusing an original IP.
Exactly.
Just because you acquired
Exploiting
it.
artists.
Yeah, it is very, very weird. I can't believe Disney looked at this and was like, and first of all, somebody at Disney knows what this is about. Someone at Disney, even if Tim Burton says it's not, somebody at Disney knows for sure what this is about. But it's just, yeah, it is crazy to me how scathing this can be on Disney itself, and they just put it out.
Much more than Velvet Buzzsaw, which we'll be talking about later, which has the similar concept.
Yeah, absolutely. Dan Gilroy, our boy.
Yeah. Maybe not our boy anymore, though.
Maybe not. He might still be our boy.
We'll see.
I don't know.
I'll give him one more.
He's still kind of my boy. But yeah, and it's so bananas to me. And the fucking score is the same as Edward Scissorhands. It's
Tim Burton spooky music. Tim Burton spooky
it's
music.
not even a little different. Like they squeak in like a variation of the Dumbo theme.
Yeah. That was like one of the first things it actually is the first thing I wrote down is Tim Burton spooky music, because that shit is the same music that's in all of his spooky bullshit movies.
You know what I do like about this movie though?
What's that?
I kind of like the opening credit segment. And Tim Burton is kind of good at that. Like Sweeney Todd's a great example of a really cool opening credit sequence. But like where it's like it's the map and they're showing like the circus moving around.
That
and
is good.
Yeah, and that I actually really
I was
liked.
hopeful. I was hopeful at the gates in this.
And
movie.
then the train rolled up and the train looked really cool and like like they were pulling out all the circus stuff and it was a lot of fun to watch. Hey, but guess what like this movie doesn't touch on at all?
What's that?
Those other circus people that we're supposed to give a shit about later in the movie.
Strongman.
Yeah, they barely touch on those characters. They're not even characters. Much like Dumbo, they're objects.
Yeah, that's a problem, and that's a big problem.
Yeah,
in this movie, that is essentially a character piece, but yet your characters don't do anything.
And then Colin Farrell. They go to like this
extremely unnecessary.
Yeah, they go to this giant theme park because this theme park man has bought Dumbo and bought the entire circus to bring to his theme park to work there. And Michael Keaton just like starts, not Michael Keaton. Colin Farrell just starts banging Michael Keaton's girlfriend.
Hell yeah.
What? And like, okay. As soon as the romance plot kicks in, I'm not even shitting you. We were in the theater, and my girlfriend actually turned to me and was like, "Dude, come on, like, shut up!" Because as soon as they like introduced the romance plot, I audibly went, "Oh God!" Oh, dude, I was pissed. And then the final segment is entertaining enough, I guess.
Yeah.
The problem is that Tim Burton started like drafting a script for a Dumbo remake, and then 30 pages into the script, he's like, "Shit, I used everything. Better just make some shit up."
Well, I mean, what else are you gonna do?
Yeah, I know. There's 30
you
minutes.
have to do that.
Hey, I have an idea. Don't make live action Dumbo.
Oh yeah, that's also I guess an option, but not really for Disney.
That's also an option. But hey, if you're gonna elaborate on the 30 pages you got,
what I find interesting about these live action remakes is it's so lazy, but they also don't want to be like stodgy by re-releasing the originals, which is what they should do.
Well, and it's what they are going to do with Disney Plus.
That's not really the same thing. I mean, theatrically.
Yeah. Well, and I've seen them do that before.
They did it in like '96.
I feel like they did it more recently. I feel like I saw like Aladdin in 3D. Oh no, I saw Lion King in 3D. That's what it was. Yeah, they
that
did
was the special event. Yeah.
Yeah, they did re-release Lion King in 3D. Hey, just you guys, like that's the content we're looking for.
People are going to pay for that, like
yeah.
I just don't understand like why they're doing this, like because you could be using those resources for making original movies.
I can tell you why they're doing it, because all
Why?
of these things are making money.
Okay, but like so would any original movie.
Maybe not quite as much.
Not as much as Beauty and the Beast. I agree with that, but the rest of these aren't making that much money.
Yeah, Cinderella might have made like a fucking sultry 30 minutes.
Ironically, that might be the best one out of these live action remakes.
You know what? It's pretty good. I think Jungle Book might be my favorite of the live actions, but maybe I'm an insane. I've seen that one like 4 times. The Jungle Book one. I actually really like
it's
that
good.
one. Yeah,
It's a good movie.
yeah, it is
Fucking
a good.
Favreau out there, dude.
Yeah.
Working.
Of the live action remakes that I've seen thus far, I was gonna say this one might be the worst one, but I forgot about Alice in Wonderland. That is the worst one.
Yeah, her. 102 Dalmatians.
That's not the same thing at all.
Sure it is.
Isn't that Glenn Close in that movie?
Yeah,
Glenn Close in that movie?
She's really good in those movies.
Jeff Daniels, I think is the dad. Is the Pongo? No, Pongo's the dog. What was the name of the dad?
I don't know.
His name was like John Deere or something weird, some super 60s.
You're acting like I've seen 101 Dalmatians or 102 Dalmatians in the last 15 years.
And actually, they did do like a remake of 101 Dalmatians. You were right, that with Glenn Close. They then made a sequel to the remake.
Yes.
102. Okay, I'm piecing it together. We're figuring it out. Dumbo as a whole is okay. First of all, and we didn't even mention this when we were talking about Dumbo, but this movie is entirely way too long. Oh my fucking god,
It's almost 2
long.
hours.
It's a bit over 2 hours. I think it's like 205, 210, something like that.
It's an hour and 52 minutes on Google.
Oh, is that what it says?
So it's like an hour and 40.
Yeah.
But still.
It's entirely too long. It does not need to be this long. Look, you burned through Dumbo.
It does feel like it's missing something, you know?
Yeah, I agree. There's a Disney charm that actually I think that Jungle Book and even a little bit Beauty and the Beast were able to capture. That I think
Maleficent?
fuck off. I just think that Tim Burton doesn't have Disney magic. He has a different type of magic that I think some
Sure.
people might really enjoy. It's not for me. Not
big
me.
kitty goth girlfriend magic.
Yeah, exactly. My immortal type shit. Tim Burton only listens to My Chemical Romance and Metallica because he's a piece of shit.
What are those? I've never heard of these.
They're the same band. Don't worry about it.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, Tim Burton has a different type of magic that I think he's really trying to get the Disney magic. Like
Well,
this
one doesn't seem like it failed, for me at least, by lack of trying. That doesn't seem like that to me. It just seems like he's not. Did he wrote this too?
I think so. He maybe.
I don't know what was going on in the writers' room, but like this is like it's a boring movie.
Yeah, it is. It is shockingly boring.
I like that. I like that they got that Disney like corporation stuff in there, but it's boring.
Yeah, I do agree. And Michael Keaton's character is not character.
Yeah.
Not even character. He's like one of these guys, you know? He just comes in and he's like, I want to buy everything, and anything can be bought and sold for the right oil. Yeah. Ugh. I have an oil business. Like, he's this guy. And then Alan Arkin shows up and he's like, I got all the money. And
Alan Arkin.
I'm Alan Arkin.
Hey, it's us, shitty Alan Arkins.
Do a couple of shitty Alan Arkins.
A couple 1-2 Alan Arkins.
Oh yeah, this movie's a 2-star on the Chatsky scale.
Yeah, it's not that good, but I mean, it's completely watchable. It's just like it doesn't have the movie magic that I expected from a movie about a flying elephant.
Yeah,
hey, your movie's about a flying elephant, and you're not gonna be able to capture my move magic.
You're not gonna be able to capture my imagination.
Now, I think from here we should go into Velvet Buzzsaw.
Yeah,
it's a
what I was
very
gonna say.
similar theme to this movie.
You know what? Here's the thing about Velvet Buzzsaw. I think that the first 45 minutes or so is a tough watch because it's very wordy and it's kind of in your face and it's a little bit
it's mean-spirited, to be quite honest.
yeah that's a nice way to put
And
it, especially about our craft, right? Like of art criticism.
Sure,
and it's presented differently,
but like when you look at like the good movies about criticism. Like I would say Jon Favreau's Chef is a great example of that.
Yeah.
'cause that,
Oh, yeah,
That's
I
a movie
agree.
about his criticism of him working through the movie industry, and he had some hits, he had some failures. And you look at this movie, and this is kind of the same concept, but Dan Gilroy hasn't had that. Like,
Yeah.
Roman J. Ersfield didn't do that well, but it didn't get completely panned. It's one of Denzel's greatest performances.
He's nominated for it.
So I don't understand where he's getting this audacity for
Well,
criticism.
here's what I think it is, and this is what I genuinely believe. I think Dan Gilroy is bitter because Nightcrawler was better than every movie nominated that year.
That I can get on board with that. That makes sense.
Nightcrawler was simply better than all those movies, and it should have been nominated. And Jake Gyllenhaal should have won Best Actor, and he wasn't even nominated.
Yeah.
Insane, because Nightcrawler is Dan Gilroy's first movie, Nightcrawler, fucking amazing.
That sucks. He's in that
Orson Welles.
Orson Welles shit.
He's in that Orson Welles tunnel.
Because he made that best shit first, and he's not making anything near.
Yeah.
I like this movie.
Yeah,
but,
you know what I do too. I like the back half of this movie.
Sure,
I think.
it's quite a bit better. What really drives it is Jake Gyllenhaal is going 1000%.
Dude, he's the best. He's the best. He's already the top of my best performances of the year.
He's like a different person in all these stupid Netflix movies. Like,
yeah, man.
What's going on?
It's really, really crazy how every time, and Netflix has really tuned into Gyllenhaal, and they're like, we're getting in on this, because I think Netflix knows more than anybody that Jake Gyllenhaal is the best actor of all time.
That's true. Yeah,
and
and Netflix is in the Gyllenhaal business. That's
and,
for sure.
and he maybe that's too much. Maybe he's not the best actor of all time, but he is definitely the most versatile working actor right now.
He's definitely in a class of this generation that is very high. Like,
two years ago, Jake Gyllenhaal played a hardened boxer in an amazing movie called Southpaw, directed by Anton Fuqua. And in this movie, he plays a flamboyantly homosexual art critic.
Yeah.
And he's amazing in both films. It's a different dude.
Essentially. And like you look at Everest, where he plays like a macho.
Kind of like a dude, bro.
Like a dude, bro. And then you look at Aksha, and he's playing that weird scientist character.
Weird, silly guy. And even Nightcrawler, he's playing like a neurotic psychopath.
Example. He's a phenomenal actor.
And Stronger, he's just playing a normal guy. Was that what that movie called? Stronger, the one about the Boston bombings that he was in?
Yeah, I think that was called Strong.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think it was.
That was actually a pretty good movie. Saw that at Fest.
Movie's good.
Yeah. But yeah, and so Jake Gyllenhaal is amazing, but he's not the only amazing performance in this movie.
Yeah, this is a pretty stacked cast.
Oh shit, what's the name of the girl that was in this movie who's fucking amazing? She plays like the art director. Oh, why can't I remember her name? Tony Collette.
Tony Collette, of course.
Tony Collette. Holy fuck, Tony Collette is good. Whom we love of Hereditary fame. And Little Miss Sunshine fame.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Tony Collette's going like 10,000%. Renee Russo also very, very good. David? Dude, this dude's
Diggs showing up.
Dude, David Diggs he's coming up, dude.
John Malkovich, for some reason. All right, I'll take it.
Yeah.
And that is like another kind of problem with this movie is there is so many characters.
And some of them, like John Malkovich, play no part.
Play no part at all.
Play no part.
But I do kind of like at a high level the concept's kind of fun. It's they find all this art from this mystery man, and apparently they're cursed art, I guess.
Yeah, it's cursed art.
And it kind of like goes with the concept that if anyone who makes money off of it gets cursed and gets eaten by the painting.
That's okay. That first of all, that's a fun concept, but
sure.
There's a gaping hole in this concept, and here's what it is.
What's that? Let's hear it.
Is that this movie is about upper class modern art.
Sure.
But it's also a horror movie. But those
it's
are
more satire that has horror elements. It's not a horror movie, and I don't like that it was advertised as a horror movie.
I just think that that's two separate audiences. I don't
know if it is.
I think that it is. I think that if you're into like because this movie does really
But
like
it's making fun of high art though. It's not.
In a way, but Jake Gyllenhaal's character is right the whole time, and he's probably the most prolific of character in the entire movie, and he's the most what's the word I'm looking for? The most interested in modern art. I don't know if it exactly makes fun of modern art.
Sure, it does.
I don't know.
It's making fun of. I don't agree with it, but the point I believe he's trying to make is that criticism misses the point, and that anybody who makes money off art should be cursed.
I could see that. Yeah, I mean,
But I also like Dan Gilroy. You're selling your movies, like
to Netflix of all people.
And even if you maybe some don't agree that this is a movie about film critics, but and I could see that because the way that art works is that these reviews that Jake Gyllenhaal are writing makes or breaks the
success of the painting or the exhibit,
because it convinces people one way or the other if it's good. And I don't really think critics have that kind of power when it comes to film.
Yeah, even people who like look on Rotten Tomatoes, like if you're gonna go see a movie, I think especially in this day and age, you're just gonna go fucking see the movie.
Yeah,
like I think it really doesn't matter. You guys, Venom made $700 million.
It's one of the worst movies I've ever seen,
and it made
until this week.
Yeah, until this week, it made $700 million, guys. Like, think about that for a New York nanosecond. I really don't think. I think like the point here. This is clearly a response to Roman J. Israel Esquire's poor negative reception.
Maybe.
That's what
I don't know. It seems like it is, but it's also like it has enough layers that maybe he was just fucking around.
Yeah.
And maybe he really likes modern art. I don't know anything about Dan Gilroy. You know, like
yeah. But what I can tell you about this movie is that as soon as the murders start happening, it gets kind of fun.
Yeah, it does.
It gets kind of fun, especially because like the paintings are Phantom Ghost. There's a Phantom Ghost.
I like the monkey one. That's
yeah,
fun.
the monkey painting. Yeah, I like the one that Toni Collette gets her arm stuck in.
Sure.
That's a lot of fun. There's also just something so bizarre about this movie is that it can only happen through art. And so, like, these characters start, like, desperately getting rid of their art.
Right.
Which I don't know if that's trying to say anything at all, but it is what happens. Because, like, everybody who makes money off of this art does get cursed. Okay, yeah, there's the point there. I got it.
Yeah.
I definitely got it, you know. But then, later in the movie, when they start to repent, they still get murdered. It doesn't matter, you know.
Right.
You know, and like especially like Jake Gyllenhaal, you know,
even to the point where like this movie ends with a street vendor selling it, and he's cursed too. So like, what?
Yeah, I don't know. Is the street vendor? He's selling it for $5, you know. But like especially like Jake Gyllenhaal's character, who is really the forefront of like trying to inform people about like the dangers of this industry, you know, and the dangers of making money in this industry, and yet he still is cursed. I don't know. I don't know really where Dan Gilroy was going with it. However, as a narrative, I kind of like it. Yeah. Like all of the symbolism aside, all of the metaphor aside, as a narrative, I think this movie is pretty fun, and I didn't expect that. I thought I was, especially after the first like 45 minutes. Once they really get into the paintings of this Deese guy, who turned out to be like a murderer.
Yeah, because he uses blood and painting. This is kind of based on a real person too. It wasn't based on a guy that made blood paintings, but it was based on this janitor who, well, it's never explicitly said that, but this is a real case where this janitor who was making this like 10,000 page book of all his art, and then he had a heart attack, and that's when they found it.
That's interesting.
So it's kind of based on a real thing, but I mean. It's about blood and paintings.
Yeah.
You know, they've been doing that since the 1800s, though, to make red, you know.
Yeah.
It's not like it's a concept that they made spooky.
Yeah, that's true, especially like when Jake Gyllenhaal goes to talk to the curator, and she's like, every painting had blood in it. Okay, lady, we got to settle down here. You don't know it's like Trace's amount of blood. Like, to say it could be his own, you fucking lady. Yeah, but it's surprisingly pleasant. A lot of the performances are really good.
Well, it's an amazing cast for sure.
Yeah, the cast is unreal. Dan Gilroy knows how to fucking bring people together. That's for sure. I mean, he's worked with Gyllenhaal in Washington. Yeah. The two greats. Yeah. You know, any actor
and his wife Renee Russo in a lot of movies.
Yeah, is Renee Russo Dan Gilroy's wife?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. She's also very good.
She's really good in
She's
this.
really good. Yeah, this movie is fun if you don't think about it too much. You know,
Well, I think you kind of got to think about it a little bit.
yeah, you got to think about it a little bit, but don't.
I don't know how fleshed out it is, and I think that's a big problem with these Netflix movies is they feel like
They're rushed out a little bit.
they
Yeah.
do feel a little first drafty, you know.
Yeah.
And this movie does suffer from that quite a bit, I think, because there is like a very good movie in here, I think, but I think just the fact that it's like a mean movie.
Yeah, it's
Like,
it's gross.
Ugh.
I don't want to say I felt personally attacked, but I mean, I drew some parallels here and there. Yeah, it's still fun though. I give it a 3-star.
I liked it enough, and I think to see Jake Gyllenhaal, I'm never gonna miss this movie because he's just so phenomenal in all these fucking things.
Okay, so we talked about a bad movie. We talked about an okay movie. Do you want to talk about the best fucking movie I've ever seen in my entire life?
Hell yeah!
Bride of Frankenstein is so fucking good.
Now we issued a challenge last week.
Yeah, that if I didn't like this movie, that I would quit the podcast. I had to give it at least a 4-star on the Chatsky scale. But here's the dealio. This is the best movie I've ever seen.
You really liked it, hey?
Dude, it's
This-
so
to
good.
me, this is the perfect way to make a sequel because it's
and it's the first, it's like the oldest Hollywood sequel that I can think of.
there's probably more, but
I'm sure there is, but
it's definitely the biggest and first like good one as
Yeah.
far as I'm concerned. Because in this life, there's 3 great sequels, Chadley, and those sequels are Bride of Frankenstein, Godfather 2, and Too Fast, Too Furious.
yeah, too fast, too bender.
Hell yeah!
Hell yeah. Bride of Frankenstein, man, I'm gonna tell you a real story. This isn't even a joke.
Sure.
This is a real story of what happened when I was watching Bride of Frankenstein. I was watching it on archive.org because archive.org
They have
puts
a lot.
Yeah, they put a lot of these old movies just up on their website and you can just watch them for free. I got about 40 minutes into this movie on archive.org and I stopped watching it on archive.org because I said, nah, I gotta pay for this. So I went on to Google Play and I bought the fucking thing. I was like, no. This deserves my money. I gotta pay for this.
God bless him, James Whale out here. And one thing I really like about this movie that I completely forgot about is they frame it with like the Lord Byron plot framing device that this is like Mary Shelley's like next
Yes, sequel to the book.
yeah, his next sequel to the book, and I think that's a really fun plot device. It doesn't make that much difference in the total movie, but I completely forgot about it.
Well, and the reason I like the way that they frame that more so than anything is that the movie, because of the way it starts with Mary Shelley talking about Frankenstein and, these two gentlemen being like interested on what happens next after the end of Frankenstein, it actually has like a recap.
Yeah.
And because their sequels weren't really a thing back then, but not only that, but if a movie was playing in a theater, if you didn't see it in the theater, you were never fucking seeing it.
Sure.
Like you couldn't just buy it on Google Play like I did. You couldn't just buy the DVD or the VHS or the Betamax. You couldn't do
Right,
that
so-
at the time.
So it's you can imagine that a lot of people that saw this movie probably didn't see the first one.
Exactly. And so they were like, how do we make a sequel to a Hollywood film but still make it accessible?
You'll see that a lot as we move through the sequels to all these movies. Is a lot of them are just they're simply based on the thing, but they're a new movie.
Yeah, exactly. And that is because was this an actual book, Bride of Frankenstein?
No.
So I love this one because it's a direct sequel and it takes Frankenstein in a crazy
Sure.
new direction.
It takes him into more of like the book direction though.
Yeah.
Like they humanize him up a lot.
Yeah, which I love. Like, I know, like in the book, he gains the ability to speak.
Yeah.
Which they incorporated into this movie, and is my favorite thing.
Oh, it's the best.
ever.
And
Good
so, like,
smoke.
Good Smoke, dude. Good Smoke is the funniest scene in any because not only is this movie a sequel, but it's the first horror comedy. Really,
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
this is like more of satire on Frankenstein than it is Frankenstein. And what I like about it is Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein. They're two sides of the same coin. You got to watch them both, and
I agree.
They're both great, but they're both very different.
Yeah, they're both masterpieces. But here's the thing: Frankenstein, the original Frankenstein, James Whale,
Yeah.
is a very sad movie.
Yeah.
And if you thought that movie is sad, which it is, buckle up because Bride of Frankenstein is 10,000 times sadder. Dude, it's a tough watch because like the character of Frankenstein, that's the villain. Whereas the character of the monster, that's the hero. Like the scene where he becomes best friends with the blind man.
Yeah, that's so good.
That is just
It's like literally one of the best scenes in cinema.
but it's also heartbreaking.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
it's really really difficult to watch, and like even like early in the movie, he's just walking around saying like friend, like he just wants people to be his fucking friend. Oh my god, dude, it's so hard. And then like I'm like for those who haven't seen the movie Bride of Frankenstein, the character is in the movie for all of like a minute.
Yeah.
You know, like that's really not what the movie is about. The movie is more about like this crazy scientist and his fascination with Frankenstein's
gods
work.
and monsters.
Yeah, gods
Dude,
and monsters.
there's so much good like and the dialogue in this one, like you look at like The Mummy or something, and you're like, oh, the dialogue in this one kicks the shit out of those movies. Like,
oh yeah,
this movie is like, it's not boring at all. All the dialogue's amazing. It's not melodramatic or anything.
yeah. It almost feels like a modern narrative.
Absolutely,
Which is really
This
crazy.
This is one of those movies that I think plays today as well as it did any time it will continue.
Yeah, and I feel the same thing about King Kong and Gojira. Like
Sure,
both those.
absolutely.
Maybe not Gojira, but
No, Gojira is good.
it's I think it's kind of indicative of his time. Whereas Bride of Frankenstein, I seriously like I watched this with my girlfriend, and after the end credits started rolling, and I was like, I could literally rewatch that movie right now. I could watch that movie again this very moment, and I might watch it again tonight. I don't know, you know. This movie is simply one of the most intensely satisfying films we've ever watched.
Well, to me, it's it's one of the very earliest sequels, and it feels like the perfect way to do a sequel.
Yeah, because like Frankenstein, like as much as I love that movie and it is a 5-star masterpiece,
Yeah, it's amazing.
It doesn't really round out the story very well.
No.
Whereas I feel like this one does a lot better of a job rounding out the story, and oh man, before they make you feel even sadder for Frankenstein.
And like you might as well watch them back to back. They're not very long. Like,
No, yeah, they're 70 minutes. It's basically one movie.
Yeah, it's basically one movie as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it's one 5e5. That's the 5e is 5. It's 2 hours and 20
James
minutes
Whale,
of
though,
5-star.
Holy shit, did he direct the fuck out of this movie?
Yeah,
like,
man.
Like James Whale is phenomenal.
Yeah, and Karloff too, like
Karloff, amazing.
acting incredible. And like I really like all the original players. I love the new villain in this movie. The guy who's making the little people.
Yeah.
God, what was that about?
Yeah, I don't know.
I loved it.
But it's crazy
Yeah,
and awesome.
I loved it, but I don't know what that was about.
Yeah, I like. It's been a while since I've seen this one. I probably watched it. I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but I watched it in the last couple of years, and once that scene came up, I'm like, oh, I remember everything about this movie now.
Yeah, and yeah, it's heartwarming. Like it's not even a horror movie anymore.
No,
right? Like
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's not even a horror movie anymore. It's just it's a heartwarming tale about a misunderstood person,
Absolutely.
much like the first one. But this one elaborates on it so much better, which is crazy because Frankenstein is a 5.
Yeah,
and this one's way better.
it's a lot. But it is hands down the best thing we'll be watching out of all these 30 movies, and it sucks that it's like the 6th week in. But
Yeah, but
what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? Now we got to watch a bunch of weird Abbott Costello movies.
Hell yeah, those are fun though. Those are actually legitimately good.
I've heard those are pretty fun. Yeah, no, this is a perfect masterpiece. If you've never seen Bride of Frankenstein, you should watch it with the original. They go together very, very well.
Good
Yeah.
smoke.
Good smoke. Yeah, that's
I've been doing a lot of good smoke lately.
yeah. I was and here's the thing: is that Frankenstein just like smokes that whole cigar for a while,
Yeah,
dude.
that was marijuana, dude.
Okay. He's like, no,
That's why he learned how to talk.
And like you could never get away with that now. Like in the 30s, you could get away with being like, no, cigars are great.
This is also like pre-code too, isn't it? Or is it? I think it's pre-code.
Maybe. No, I don't think so.
Maybe not.
no.
Maybe it was right around when Code started.
Yeah, about the same time. I could be wrong about that. Code might have been like in the 40s sometime.
I don't know.
But anyway, this movie's a 5-star masterpiece. It's funny. It's heartwarming. It's intensely sad.
The best.
It's really, really
One of my
sad.
favorites.
It's a 5-star. It's an easy 5-star on the
Absolutely.
Chetsky scale. All right. Michael Nicholas Jacobs.
So many names.
Yeah. Just look for it. Jacob Nicholas Michaels.
I love when people send me screeners. I think
Yeah,
it's
me too.
I think it's hilarious most of the time. Like, we do get a lot of them, mostly short films, and we don't really review short films, to be
No.
honest. So we're probably not going to review those. But if you have a film, send it in, punchnerds@gmail.com, and we will
listen.
review it on the show.
Yeah, we will review it on the show as you want. But here's the thing. It's maybe not the best idea to send it to us because we're honest.
Yeah.
We're honest. And
And
if
I-
you're an indie director in Canada making a movie for 10 grand, guess what?
It's not from Canada.
Oh, it's not?
It's not a Canadian movie.
This is not a Canadian movie?
No. Where did you get that idea that this person?
I don't know.
This person's from Vermont.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that makes it that makes it less acceptable because this person traveled around the globe to get to us.
They sent us an email.
Yeah.
Do you think he dropped off a fucking DVD at my house? What's going on right now in your brain?
I don't know. I guess I just assumed he was Canadian, but whatever. Hey, here's the dealio, okay? You make indie movie
Yeah.
on what looks like maybe $5,000, maybe less. Actually, probably less.
Dude, this didn't have any budget.
You're gonna send me an indie movie with budget? Guess what? It's bad. It's definitely bad.
Dude, this is a heinous piece of work.
Dude, it is an incredulous pile of shit.
I would have loved to talk to the director about this because
Yeah.
there's nothing I respect more than someone who sends me this and then comes on the show and defends themselves because this is
You have to explain. 'cause
honestly the first question I would have had for him. Maybe he'll email us after he listens. Did you actually kidnap a woman?
feels like it. If the acting wasn't so bad, I would think it was real.
No, I think it's based on a real kidnap
that he did.
that he did, that he committed. Yo, okay. So here's the problem. Shot on an iPhone.
Is that confirmed?
I don't know. It looked
looks like
bad.
It looks like it. Yeah.
Which is fine because he's going for the film footage genre. Okay, I'm okay with that. But you can't just have like 5 minutes of a black screen
Yeah,
of him getting
dude.
ready. Now here's how you do it. Why don't we punch this up a little
Okay.
bit?
Yeah. Let's punch up this movie,
Because we both took one semester of film school, so we know what
which
we're
this
talking
guy
about.
clearly did not.
Maybe he's in film school. I don't know. He didn't give me any information. There was no press package. That's another thing.
Send us a press package if you're gonna send us these.
Please send me a press package so that I know what the fuck I'm talking about here. Here's how you do it. You set him up either in front of the mirror or maybe at the desk writing a manifesto, and you do a slow push in. And he's wearing a mask. He's wearing the mask, sure.
Yeah. Sure.
Looking in, this is how I would have done it. I would have done looking in the mirror with the mask, bulging eyes, a slow push in, and then you go in. And it's not 5 minutes because that's fucking insane. This movie's 65 minutes or something. It might as well be.
Every silence and pause in this movie isn't for effect. It's to pad the runtime.
This is a short film.
Yeah.
Don't fucking try and pat this.
Don't
out.
at me.
No, you can at me. It's fine. This is like, if you're gonna do this, it's a fine idea, I guess, but it's not a feature length.
Yeah, the idea. Okay, so let's talk about what this movie is about. It's like a found footage kind of horror movie about this guy who kidnaps a girl and then he goes onto a live show, like a Twitch stream, and people give him money in exchange for him torturing the girl in the ways that they want him to. Okay, that's a pretty good idea.
Concepts there.
The execution, however,
Horrific, dude.
is absolutely horrendous.
This is
First of
this
all,
was more unpleasant than watching a real snuff film.
dude, this movie's 60 minutes and it's 3 shots. I need to make that very clear. It's 3 fucking shots. And the first shot is just black screen while you can hear somebody fumbling about. And it's got like that shitty like handy cam sound, you know, like when you shake a handy cam and it's like that's the first 5 minutes.
It feels like that Mark Duplass movie Creep, but kicked in the head by a horse.
Now, look, here's the dealio, you guys. This is what I wrote in my review, and I'm standing by this, okay? I have made it my life mission to seek out film and study film and watch film. I've seen, over 1,000 films on this show alone, let alone the stuff I watch in my free time. And this is the worst movie I've ever seen.
Well,
by a lot.
I would debate that it's not even a movie, to be quite honest.
Oh, it's a movie. It's on Amazon Prime Video in the United States.
It is on Amazon Prime Video, and if you want to go watch it, go ahead.
Don't.
No, I'm not saying don't. Check it out.
No, I'm saying don't.
I think it's an interesting experiment to see how someone could make something like this. And I'm very interested. Maybe he'll do an interview with us later at some point, because I would like to talk about this.
I simply must know what he was thinking making this, because the first shot is the darkness and the fumbling about, and that's for so long, and it's not even that's happening and there's beginning credits. There's beginning credits before that, which, by the way, this guy Michael Richards Nicholas Jacob Timothy, whatever his name is,
that's right,
he did everything. So the opening credits is really just him jerking himself off. Because it was edited by, and then for some reason, some person named Alexis who plays the lady, the lady who calls him and is like, "You can't be doing this anymore. It's bad to be doing this." That's the producer of the film. She's the producer of the film.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Actually, I did a little bit of digging because I certainly wasn't paying attention to this fucking thing. Simply could not. So it's 5 minutes of him fumbling around, and then there's the only interesting shot in the whole movie, and that is the shot where he's following the girl, and it's not even good. It's bad. It's at the middle of the night. There's no lighting rig, no nothing. It's just him following the lady.
I understand why there's no lighting. It's a found footage movie.
Yeah,
but let's make it look at least.
Yeah, it's got to look like something.
Let's make it look watchable. Let's put something in frame to make it valuable to look at.
Yeah, but instead it's just walking around corners for, again, far too long. 5 minutes, him just walking around corners. Finally, he kidnaps the lady, and then it cuts to the title of the film, Night. We're already, 15 minutes into this 60-minute movie, so don't put the title there for sure. Put it during the opening credits when you're jerking yourself off. Then the next shot of the film, which, again, I must stress, we're only 15 minutes into the movie, is the final shot of the whole movie. And that is, he's got the girl tied up, and he does his live show where he does the fucking the torture thing. Okay, all right, I get it. There's scenes where he interacts with the girl, but she's so bad at acting. And I actually have a really good example of how fucking terrible she is at acting. Later in the film, he takes out a knife and is like, "Oh, I'm gonna carve stuff into you. I'm gonna carve stuff into you." And it's clearly just a fake knife that has red paint on it, right? So that it looks like he's carving into her. And as he's carving into her, she doesn't flinch. She doesn't move. She doesn't react to the fact that she's being sliced up.
Well, she probably doesn't know.
What?
She probably didn't know.
Who?
She had a blindfold on.
Yeah, but you gotta feel it. You gotta act, okay? It's a movie. You gotta act in the movie, okay? You can't just sit there.
Oh, I understand that. But,
she wasn't paid, definitely.
This is a student film or something. I truly don't know what it is, and that's my main question.
Yeah, that's the
why did you make this?
Yeah, that's the most concerning part, because for the first little while, I was pretty uncomfortable because I thought it was real.
And kudos for that. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah, it makes me feel really disgusted, but it doesn't make me.
The problem is when they start talking, because then it's oh, this is not.
Oh, okay. So this is it's like in Paranormal Activity when at first you're this might be real, and then you hear the audio effects on the demon voice, and you're this ain't real.
Demon voice.
The classic demon voice. This ain't real. But this one is brought to you by the shittiest acting of all time, and I believe that the main character is played by the director.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's correct.
I do believe that main character. And here's the thing: is that again, the concept is kind of interesting, but it just becomes the same thing over and over again, and it's just this. This is what it is. It's a guy looking at the screen, which we can't see, by the way.
You can't see anything.
There's no computer there.
To be fair, I don't know if this person is 14 years old. Like, I truly don't know anything about him. He sent me an email that said, "Hello, my name is Nicholas Michael Jacobs. Here's my movie night. It's coming out on the 17th."
It's on Amazon Prime Video. Like, it's a real movie, you know. It's on horror POV. Like, it's a real movie. And like, what happens is he's looking at this computer screen and he goes, "Oh, $40. What you want?" And then and then he just goes, "Oh God, that's fucked up, man. I can't do that. Oh, $40. What you want?" and then he's like, "Oh yeah, hell yeah, that's a fucking great idea." Dude, it's unwatchable shit. It's the worst movie I've ever seen, and I hesitate to call it a movie. I really do, because it's such it defaces shitty movies. Venom is a masterpiece compared to this.
Mark Frame out here looking like kind of a real director.
Yeah. Camp Death Part 3 actually seems kind of good to me now.
Matt Frame.
Matt
Did I say
Frame.
Mark Frame.
I think you said Mark Frame. I don't know. Whoever it was, the guy who made that Camp Death. You know what?
Yeah,
Matt Frame
still emails.
Does he really?
Yeah, quite frequently.
Matt Frame.
Yeah.
You guys friends now?
No. He made me watch Camp Death, so we would never be friends.
Is he trying to get us to redact our review? Because we will not.
No.
However,
he did want us to give him money so that we could be in the credits of the movie, and I'm like, no.
As what?
Producers?
As producers?
Yeah.
I'll do it only if my name's first. If my name's first in the credits.
I want to pull a John Carpenter and be on the cover.
Yeah.
Buck Hollywood LeDuc's Camp Death.
Oh man, Night's a piece of shit, dude. This is just, I felt so unhappy watching it, and then the ending sucks. It is such a cop out pile of shit ending. I feel like I wrote this movie. I wrote this script when I was 11. I feel like I wrote a script pretty close.
There's
to
no
this.
evidence to show that this person isn't 11. Though. That's
Yeah, that's very true. Because the girl in the chair is definitely young.
Yeah.
Like, definitely young. So we have no idea what's going on here. Like, this.
But we do appreciate all films that are sent to us.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we and Nicholas.
And
Michael,
we're happy to give you some exposure, but we are going to be brutally honest about it. And
Yeah,
that's just how it's going to be.
And I think that even if he had come on the pod and we interviewed him, I would have been like, dude, what the fuck?
Well, my first question is, have you ever kidnapped a woman? My second question is, why did you make this?
Because if the answer to the first question is yes,
I have the why. I have the why. At that
Yeah,
point.
makes sense.
All right. Well, let's move on.
That's a half star.
Yeah, it's
Super half star. Let's talk about Tommy, kind of.
hell yeah.
Let's talk about Best Friends Volume 2. So, if you remember, you had really liked the first
I
Best
love
Friends
it.
Volume 1.
Still to this day, love it.
And I thought it was okay. I thought it was pretty good. Not my favorite movie. Best Friends Volume 2 is a worse movie.
Extremely unnecessary. They could have cut up the last 10 minutes of this one and tacked it on there.
Yeah, I completely agree. And the ending to this movie is bananas, but we'll get to it later.
Yeah.
This one is dumb. Like, this one's dumber.
Well, this is where it's very evident that, as you recall from the last podcast, Greg Sesestro said to my face he wrote this in 3 days. He said it to my face.
He wrote 2 movies in 3 days.
In 3 days, and it's very evident once you get to part 2.
Because part 2 is much worse.
And some would say it's quite bad, but what I see here is nonsense, and to me, nonsense is brilliance. So,
see, I do see nonsense, but I think it's more nothing than nonsense.
Well,
Because
Chadley's going to be out here telling you that nonsense is bad, and I'm going to tell you, don't listen to Chadley.
No, I don't-
Nonsense is what makes the world go
I don't
round.
think nonsense is bad. I gave The Room a 5.
That's true.
Yeah, I gave The Room a 5, and I stand by that. I don't think nonsense is bad, but the first hour of this movie is them just trying to open a safe.
Yeah.
And
With
it's-
Uncle Rick, who could fuck me, probably.
Yeah, Uncle Rick could fuck me, and he might, to be
And
honest.
he might.
Yeah.
He might use something bigger. He might use me as a condom to fuck something bigger.
So going down the highway with this ATM shaped safe from the first movie, and they're trying to get it open because they forgot Tommy's keys. Literally the one thing they needed for the safe, and they forgot it.
Well,
Okay.
Tommy might have had the keys when he died.
Yeah, when he fell over. Yeah, fell over the cliff.
Yes. And that is the biggest problem with this movie is that Tommy's not even in it really.
Yeah, and I
And
I
you
agree.
need to have Tommy in the shit.
Yeah.
If you're gonna make it work, because Tommy's a lightning rod of insanity, and he makes movies feel so alive.
Yeah, Samurai Cop 2 is watchable because Tommy.
Well,
I like Samurai Cop 2, but only because Tommy.
no, you don't.
Yeah, I do. And so like the first hour is them just like trying to bust open the safe, and they introduce this new character whose name is Uncle Rick, and he's Tracy from the first movie, the girl from the first movie. He's her uncle, kind of, but he fucks her.
Yeah.
Yeah, which sometimes you gotta. I
It's
get it.
porn genre.
Yeah, for sure. You can search that up on Porno Hub or whatever.
Yeah, fucking crank down alley.
Yeah, hell yeah. So what takes place here is that they try to open it themselves and they can't. So they call upon Uncle Rick, and he tries to open it and he can't. So then they call upon Doc and Vinny, who by the way are the best characters.
Yeah, dude, they're they're like legitimately. That's one of the funniest scenes is when she's trying to get the safe open.
Yeah, and Doc and Vinny are there. That is the nonsense I'm looking for.
Yeah,
Like-
I do wish there was more of that.
Yeah, the especially the character Doc, who's like, if I'm opening this safe, I need a fucking whiskey on rocks. It's very, very funny. Like, that's very entertaining stuff. And one thing I really like about this movie is the relationship between Rick and John, the main character played by Greg Sestero.
Yeah.
I love that relationship because very slowly Rick gets very annoyed with John for no reason and just starts saying stuff like, "Oh, you fucking pussy." Like, and it just starts getting angry at him for nothing. And like that stuff is the stuff that I really like, but there's so much stuff in between where it's like Tracy and John talking about like what they're gonna do once they get the safe open and take a rest. You've had a long day, and it's so dry. It's so dry, and it takes place in a fucking desert.
Yeah, that's what's funny about these movies, in my opinion, is that they're like kind of shot very well, even though they're in nothing interesting.
Yeah,
like
the visuals here are boring. There's nothing interesting until enter Tommy, who just shows up in a knight's helmet. Dude, I could not stop laughing. He shows up in a knight's helmet, which, by the way, at no time do they ever explain why he's wearing a knight's helmet for half the movie.
I just assumed that when he was shooting at Uncle Rick in the bulletproof jacket and the night helmet, that he was using it as protection.
Yeah, but then he just keeps it on for a while.
Yeah, and then he does just keep it on.
He just keeps on.
It's almost like they didn't have Tommy there for that day, so they're like, let's just put a night helmet on.
But if you look through the eye holes, it's clearly him.
It is him, yeah. But it's almost what it seems like.
Yeah, because I had that thought also. And then, I don't know, then the movie just like ends really abruptly and it wraps everything up in like too nice of a bow.
Kind of, but they leave it open for a third, which I appreciate.
Yeah, oh yeah, they super leave it open for a third, which will not be made.
I would think that is not true whatsoever.
Tommy's too busy working on that Tommy Wiseau directed Shark movie.
Yeah, that's coming out though.
Yeah, with Greg. Dude, Greg's in it.
Of course.
I think
They're a
that
team.
Yeah, I think that one's in the can actually.
That one is in the can.
I think it's shot and everything. I think it's just in editing now. But yeah, I don't know. This one just like I wasn't huge on the first one, but at least the first one had like a coherent narrative. This one doesn't. This is clearly like a piece of a movie.
Oh, look, both of these movies are complete bullshit, but I love them more than anything just because they're fucking insane that they were made.
But the thing is like I have a new appreciation for the first one because the second one is much worse.
It's worse.
Yeah, it's much worse. I kind of like the first one more now because at least the first one attempts to flesh out these characters.
Well, and this one, like, the first movie left a lot of questions, and this movie doesn't answer them satisfyingly, and then just opens up way more questions.
Yeah, and when they do answer questions, specifically the question about like who Malmo was,
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. Like, like
Or like
It's-
what the lemons were about.
yeah, what the lemons were about. Yeah, fuck that, man. I almost shut it off at that point.
I
to
bet
be-
you did.
Yeah, I don't love this movie. I don't hate it because like here's the thing: the last 20 minutes, is Tommy Wiseau nonsense, and that's the shit I'm in for.
To me, I do think it's worse than the first one, but I do think there is a lot of it that I love, and specifically the kind of insanity that I love. The kind of weird. It's a noir movie, but it's also a B movie. It's also nothing. It's also nothing at all.
It's nothing. Yeah, it's absolutely nothing. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's the worst movie. Look, Night is way worse than this, but this is not good.
Oh, this is fantastic.
This is not good. This is a 2-star on the Chatsky scale
Perfect
for me.
4-star on the
Four?
Chatsky scale.
Are
Four.
you're fucking with
No,
me?
no.
You're
I'll get
kidding me.
If you do this right now, I'm gonna make it a 5.
No, okay, okay. Oop. Want to talk trailer trash,
Yeah,
dude? Why is Scorsese making a Joker movie?
he's not involved in it.
Yeah, I know, but it looks like he is.
It does look like King of Comedy. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot. It looks like Taxi Driver meshed up with Raging Bull and King of Comedy. And Robert De Niro's in it, so much so. And wasn't Scorsese at one point attached to this?
He was, but
Yeah,
he
it's-
got out early, which makes me a bit concerned.
There's-
that
it's-
the Hangover guy is making this dark Joker movie.
Yeah, but it's the same guy who made War Dogs, which is an amazing movie. Todd Phillips.
So says you.
What?
So says you.
Is he? What?
Don't worry about it.
What the fuck? Yeah, it just looks very weird because this doesn't look like a superhero movie, or it doesn't look like a comic book movie. It looks like a genuine like a genuine societal
Character piece.
yeah, because I saw a thing on the internet today. It's like it's weird that in 1989 to make the Joker fucked up they had to dump him into like chemicals, but in 2019 you just gotta make him fucked up by dumping him into society. And that's really what this movie looks like. It's about like a dude who's really just down on his luck, and just society beat the shit out of him one too many times.
Yeah. And
How?
I am concerned to where they're gonna take that.
Yeah, me too. But also, I'm in right now.
Oh yeah.
There's
no way I'm not watching
As
this.
of right now, I'm in. Man, you know what pisses me off?
What's that?
I saw yet another article. We talked about this a couple years ago when It came out.
Uh-huh.
Stephen King says Pet Sematary is the scariest movie he's ever seen.
I bet that cat looks awesome though. Did you see that picture?
Yeah, it looks awesome. Yeah,
Look at the cat.
Yeah.
He's so big.
yeah, he's hefty.
Can you imagine like being someone who works in a union and you have to come in early and you're like, damn, I gotta go rub wax and coffee grinds on this cat.
Wax and coffee grinds on this giant cat.
He's so big.
Yeah, he's super massive, dude. He looks like he's 20
he was
pounds.
wearing a tie at the premiere.
Yeah,
They brought
dude.
him with a tie. That's
I
the
was-
greatest actor cat of all time. I haven't even seen the movie yet.
I was laughing, but although Cat from Captain Marvel is also good.
Yeah,
Dude,
Jonesy's
it's
good.
a good year for cats, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Jonesy's back, baby.
I heard at CinemaCon they showed some footage of John Wick 3,
Yeah.
and Dobermans are going to be back in a big way.
Oh, perfect. Speaking of CinemaCon, let's talk about CinemaCon for a little bit. Now, obviously, we didn't go. We got invited. We didn't go.
Okay.
But there was a lot
I
of
didn't see
like
that email.
there was a lot of ICC podcast bought 5,000 on it.
Okay,
He knows about it. There's a lot of new footage, and all we can get is just people's reaction right now because we don't have it.
Yeah.
But apparently, they debuted a trailer for Sonic the Hedgehog, starring Benny Schwartz, and
Benny Schwartz?
every review that I read from people at CinemaCon said that Sonic the Hedgehog, the movie, is going to be an abysmal pile of shit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Apparently, the trailer is very bad and incredibly unfunny, and like tries very hard to be funny. Yikes, dude!
That's what I expect.
Everything that Detective Pikachu is doing right, it sounds like Sonic might be fucking up.
Well, and the problem with that is Evan Susser and Van Robichaux have not been on the project for about 9 months. So.
And you know what? Here's the thing: is that those dudes aren't even that good. Like they're pretty
they're
good.
Sonic fans, though.
Yeah.
They're fucking nerds, dude.
Yeah, even those dudes aren't that great as screenwriters. And if those guys are out,
They left.
if those dudes are, dude, if the writers of Fist Fight are out,
There's a great interview on an old episode of Doughboys where they were both on, and they were talking about how they went on this trip to Japan, and they were offering them like all this crazy food and stuff when they went to the Capcom
Sega.
offices. Yeah,
That's
Japan.
funny. That's funny. Yeah, but also like there's also like I read this article that was like footage at CinemaCon of Toy Story 4 reveals why Bo Peep was missing in the first place, and it's like, guys,
we don't care about that.
I'm gonna see the movie anyways. And you
Dude,
know what?
CinemaCon seems wild. They were releasing so much stuff. Like, dude, that Cats movie is gonna be the craziest movie of all time.
Holy shit! Yeah, what was it they released about that?
It's the people
Oh,
actors
yeah.
are going to be the size
Regular
of
size.
regular cats, and
Yeah.
all the sets have giant furniture on them. And it's going to be fucking Idris Elba and James Corden singing these cat songs.
But it's coming out the same day as Star Wars.
Yeah, but I'm making you watch it at some point on VOD probably.
No, please, I beg you not.
You will be watching Cats. dude.
God damn
There's
it.
no way you're getting out of Cats.
I guess I'd rather pay $5 to watch it than pay $12. So you know what? That's actually pretty fair. Hey, Podcast Bot 5000. No, wait, not Podcast Bot 5000. No, please don't come in here. No, no.
Hello, Chadley.
No,
It's me,
no.
Podcast Bob 5000. I have a little request.
Yeah.
Plug me in.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I saw your tweet. Podcast Bot 8000. Hello, Buck
Hey, podcast.
and Chadley. Oh, and hello, Podcast Bot 5000.
Hello.
I'm very scared of you.
Should be. I'm stronger.
On the net. Oh,
I was 1 minute older.
I'm gonna dick wrestle you with my dick.
What the fuck?
On the next episode of the Movie Epidemic podcast, Buck, my best friend, and Chadley, my least favorite human, are going to be watching the following films.
Okay.
Stephen King's self-proclaimed scariest film of all time,
I'm excited. I don't want to be too scared, though, Steven.
Pet Cemetery. He said it's the scariest movie of all time.
Ooh, I don't want to be scared.
Oh, you're going to be scared. Remember when we went to It, though, and we thought we were going to be real scared? Walked out pretty pleased.
Not very scared.
The boys will also, speaking of horror films that have been remade but didn't need to be remade, the boys will also be watching Suspiria.
Ooh, I'm gonna do a double feature of Argento's and the new one back to back.
Dude, the original is fucking
little
awesome.
later,
Yeah, it's really, really good.
Maybe not tonight, but tomorrow for sure.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's fucking midnight right now.
Well, don't worry about all that. Don't timestamp these episodes, please.
They will also be watching Netflix original Benji film.
More specifically, a Netflix original J.C. Chandler movie.
Is it JC Chandor?
Yeah,
Dude, I didn't even know that,
it
actually.
is J.C. Chandler.
It's got Benji, right?
It does. Yeah, it's got Benji and
The film is called Triple Frontier. And then continuing in the Universal Monster Film Retrospective, they'll be watching Werewolf of London. You know, I don't know much about this movie.
Well, what's interesting about this movie is the one that most people think of when they think of Wolfman is Wolfman.
Mm-hmm.
This one is just like a weird werewolf movie that they happened to make
Yeah.
like 5 years
Is
before
it Wolfman?
Kind of.
Is it Wolfman?
I haven't seen it.
Woo, Werewolves of London. Yeah, you can expect a lot of that shit. So you can find us on Twitter at Movie Epidemic. You can find us on Instagram.
Follow Podcast Bot.
Yeah, you can follow Podcast Bot 5000. He's got his own Twitter now. Podcast Bot 8000 is restricted from the internet.
Well,
so
he's younger, so he doesn't have internet yet.
yeah, he's not allowed to use
We're not
the
giving
internet.
a phone until he's in 8th grade.
Yeah, that's actually a good point.
No phone till 8th.
Yeah. And so you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram at Movie Epidemic, Facebook at Punch Nerds Movie Epidemic. You can follow us as well on Twitter separately at Last Cool Dude for Buck and myself at Chadley the Movie. We have a lot of fun on Twitter. Twitter's a pretty fun place to
If
be.
you want like quick links to all the feeds, just type in movieepidemic.xyz/iTunes or /Spotify or /Stitcher or /YouTube, and that'll get you to the links.
I forgot we were on Stitcher. I forget about that one.
Well, no,
sometimes.
I don't think anybody uses that shit
Yeah,
anymore,
we
but
don't-
we're on it.
Yeah, we got it. We're there. Yeah, a lot of Spotify.
Mostly Spotify these days.
Yeah, a lot of Spotify these days. God bless you, people who listen on Spotify, and God bless Podcast Bot 5000 for bringing.
We're getting a lot of downloads lately, and I like to see that, and I hope it increases. So tell your friends, and please review us on iTunes.
Yeah, absolutely, and be mean, be super mean, be scathing, be meaner than Dan Gilroy.
Yeah, be mean, but also give us 5 stars. Give us 5 stars, and then do a really mean review, and we'll read that.
Yeah, perfect. We'll read them all on air.
Oh, and speaking of that, to be fair, that guy was like, these guys don't know anything about movies. I named like 17 classic movies this episode. This is like our comprehension was out the roof. If you listen to the Dumbo and Velvet Buzzsaw reviews, this is high film comprehension. You're dumb. You're dumb. We're smart.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm not.